everybody, it's James here with the Sawyer Family Reviews channel. Alright, so this is a sort of one of a unique video. I recently picked up a few more Ghostbusters Mattel prototypes, and so I thought, since I'm going to do a video on this one right now, I would just throw everything together and give you an overview of all the Mattel Ghostbusters prototypes I have. Alright, so very quickly, the 3 head sculpts up front, these are 2-up head sculpts done by the 4 Horsemen for the initial waves of Ghostbusters. Now, 2-up means that it was sculpted at twice the size of a production figure. So instead of being sculpted at a 6-inch scale, they were sculpted at a 12-inch scale and then shrunk down for production. And that's why the detail on these is so much nicer than what you see in production, because they catch all these details at a large size and then shrink them down, which sometimes it gets kind of lost in translation, especially Ray, which I think that head sculpt really suffered in production, because initially as this 2-up, it's really nice. So these 3 are 2-up heads done by the 4 Horsemen. The Ray is very, very nice. Try and get... it's going to go out of focus on me there. You can kind of make it out. The Ray is very nice. The Egon's very nice. The Egon was actually pretty nice in production, too. This Bill Murray, Peter Venkman, though, is actually unused. I don't know why they decided to go with a different head sculpt. I believe it may have had to do with Bill Murray's likeness approval. He was initially going to be the first figure in the line, a slimed Peter Venkman, that was then switched out for an odd slimed Egon because they couldn't get likeness approval from Bill Murray in time. So I think that maybe they switched to in-house sculpting for Peter just for an easier process between Mattel and Bill Murray and getting his likeness approved. But the 4 Horsemen Bill Murray sculpt is fantastic. I mean, he's got all the little markings in his skin. The facial sculpt and expression is dead on Bill Murray. I really wish they would have gone with this head sculpt, but what can you do? So let's get these guys out of the way. Oh, and there's 3 different materials there. This is done in, I believe it's Castelline, which is kind of a softer resin. This is a hard resin, hard copy. And this, I believe, is a 3D print. Every 2-up head of Egon I've ever seen feels like it's a 3D print material where you can see kind of those lines in it. So it's possible he was actually a digital sculpt with a 4H. I don't know for sure, but that's what it feels like to me. Alright, let's move these guys out of the way. Next up is, really quickly, this test shot Slimer done in clear plastic instead of the green translucent plastic. Test shots are pretty close to production. Where they're done in plastic, they're just doing them in various colors. They're just kind of testing out molds and articulation, make sure everything works before they go into final production. That's from my buddy Carly. I appreciate him hooking me up with that. Last is this grouping. Well, we got 2 production figures in here, but this grouping that I picked up recently. So the 4H did some sculpting for Mattel for this line. I believe Mattel had some in-house sculpting going on, but there were also sculpting firms throughout the nation, apparently, that did work on the line, because these came out of a sculpting house here near in Cincinnati. So I think that different sculpting houses handled work on the line to get it out at a good price and to get out unique sculpts. I'm not really sure why certain characters were chosen for certain firms, but apparently the Librarian, Zool, and a couple others were done here in Cincinnati. Okay, so let's look at... Now all these are hard copies, which refers to a stage where they've taken the initial sculpt and made a mold of it and then injected material into that mold, which is held together by pins. So these are pretty much solid for the most part, and they're just held together with little tiny pins with holes drilled in where this pin would go in to keep the whole figure together. So each piece is molded, and then these holes are put in and pins are put in to keep it all together. Okay, so in this case he had 2 of the Zool so that both body shapes are shown. The final production figure, you just got the upper torso and then 2 sets of legs, but here I've got 2 full figures, which is awesome. I will say that I was not a fan of this head sculpt in production with this paint and this plastic, but in resin this is actually a really good head sculpt. I can't get too close without losing the focus here. Let me see if I can kind of raise up a bit and then zoom in so you get a better look at the head sculpt. Yeah, unpainted, that actually looks quite a bit like Sigourney Weaver, and now we're losing it again. It's wanting to focus in on this one. Let's turn her around. There we go. Yeah, so those were cool. It was probably my least exciting of the bunch. Back this up just a little bit. There we go. Get these two out of the way. Oh, see? It's not broken, guys. Don't worry about it. It just pops right in there. Let's put these over to the side and then kind of go up in levels of excitement. Next up is the Librarian Ghost. And this was really cool. Seeing this all in like a solid color instead of being in translucent material. They molded it in clear and then sprayed on pink for production. But seeing this all in one solid color, you get really a better look at the detailing on that sculpt, especially the face. I'm going to zoom in this again here. So again, these are held together with pins. I've got her on this doll stand because the bottom, actually, you can kind of see this on this figure too. They put this clear piece inside of here, but inside of the initial sculpt, it's just like a blank circle. And then this piece is then injected inside there to make it go onto the post. Let's get these guys out of the way and take the last look here at the Librarian, Eleanor Twitty, the Gray Lady. This is awesome. This was an unexpected bonus in the whole lot. This is an unproduced figure from the line. Now, I don't know who this would have come with. At first I thought maybe they would have done both forms of the Librarian together. But then I'm like, nah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. This has the same sort of articulation style as the other figures where it's minimal. It would have had, looks like, joints at the shoulders and a joint at the neck. She has the same deal where inside of her base, she's got a little divot inside there. So she would have probably been on the same kind of floating stand as these other ones. It would have probably just gone in there and had a little plug to sit inside of there. Since she doesn't have that little extra piece, though, I can't put her on one of those stands, so I just had to put her on a doll stand for now. She's sitting here with an open book to replicate the scene when they first see her in the library. The head sculpt is very nice. You can see there's a couple of imperfections in the sculpt on mine. And a lot of times with these resin hard copies, when they inject it into a mold, an air bubble will happen here or there, and the sculptor, or whoever's making the prototype, will then fill that bubble in with some kind of material just to finish off the sculpt for paint tests or whatever. So she's got a little bit of an error right here where there was an air bubble where they've filled in with a blackish blue material just to fill in the sculpt. But the head sculpt is really nice. All the sculpting on this figure is really sharp. It's maybe not as exciting as some of the other ghosts, and maybe that's why she didn't get made. They may have opted to do, you know, like the theater ghost or something like that, or the subway ghost rather, instead of her, because she's not quite as exciting. And then since they're already doing a demonic look for the Librarian, they may have just said, you know what, we don't need the regular Librarian too. Or perhaps there was another figure in the line that also got canceled, like a regular figure that was supposed to come with her. I've tried to reach out to Scott Knightlick to see if he knows what this figure would have come with, but I haven't heard anything back from him as of yet. If anybody knows a good way to get in contact with him, I'd love to know what the plan was for this figure and why she got the boot, because, yeah, this is a pretty awesome ghost. It would have been nice to have her included in the line, especially with the whole video game backstory for her. If you haven't played Ghostbusters, the video game, you get a lot of backstory on Eleanor Twitty, and it would have been cool to see her included. Maybe her and the Rookie would have been a nice pairing to play off the video game aspect. Yeah. All right, well, that's that. We should have some more videos up soon. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, please hit like, please hit subscribe, please hit notify. Until next time, talk to you guys later.